What's up, Dragon Brood? Today is day 4. I almost didn't do the right number of fingers. Day 4 of the previews for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and it is January 30th. So we have a small list today. It's more than yesterday, but not by much. And I think this might just be the new plan for Wizards, where they're deciding maybe only do a few over the weekend because they're likely to get less hype, especially right now when you have people watching like playoff games and other stuff going on over the weekend. So I get it. Hell, Royal Rumble was yesterday. There's like a bunch of stuff happening, but we'll take a look, see what we got, and see if there's any interesting stuff today, because so far there's been interesting cards every single day. So I hope the trend continues. Right, with such a small list, we're just going to take a look at everything today. So we're starting out with Circuit Mender, a 3-mana 2/3. When Circuit Mender enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. When Circuit Mender leaves the battlefield, you draw a card. This is just a generally useful card. I mean, if you have a way to blink this, you get extra cards in life, which is pretty cool. If you have a way to sacrifice it, you get both things. Maybe you could return it from the graveyard. And we know there's going to be a lot of things that care about artifacts. So, yeah. I could, like, it's only a 2/3, but I mean, it is 3 colorless mana, so that's pretty sweet. So yeah, I could see a spot where this card could get some use. Just thinking about it, I just realized we have that goblin from like day 2 that actually could put stuff in and out of the graveyard, sacrificing stuff. So this might be a key thing in that type of deck. But anyway, next card up is Yamazaki the General. Heiko Yamazaki the General. There we go. We got it that time. So we've got 3 colorless and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature, human samurai. Trample. When a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may cast target artifact from your graveyard this turn. Ooh. Okay, see, we were talking a couple days ago about these attacks alone mechanics, right? But now we're starting to get some pieces together where it's like, all right, what if you get to where you're attacking alone, you get to play a card off top of your library, you're getting to play a thing out of your graveyard, you're getting some other bonus, you're gaining some life. Like, one creature could be doing a whole lot attacking by itself. I think the question for these types of builds will just be, how much strategically, how much sense does it make to go wide while you're attacking with one creature, right? How many resources are you willing to put at risk to get this big benefit of the one creature, right? Because you could go into attack. I mean, you at least get all the triggers. There's a lot of stuff that says when you attack with one, but it does make it easier for your opponent to stay alive. So I'm sure there's going to be things to help mitigate that. But yeah, looks like it could be a realistic strategy. Now, does a 4-mana 3/3 do much? Not necessarily, but with the right build around it, I mean, even if you're attacking with it by itself, it's going to get 3 or 4 bonuses, so it could be worth it. All right, Sunblade Samurai. It's a 5-mana, so 4 colorless and a white for a 4/4. That's not great. Enchantment creature, so it does count as an enchantment. Vigilance. Channel for 2, so you can pay 2 and discard it to search a library for basic planes, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle, then you gain 2 life. All right, so I went from like initially going, it's a 5-mana 4/4, to maybe, you know, like, because here's the thing, there's some decks that are looking to make sure they hit their land drops, maybe some type of landfall, maybe some ramp type things. A 4/4 is not like the end all be all for 5 mana, but guaranteeing you find your lands and you get 2 life. This could be a card that slower decks or mid-rangey decks do want to play, because, you know, just being able to tutor up a land and get 2 life is actually reasonable for 2 mana. And then late game, let's say you've already gotten 7-8 lands out. You're like, okay, cool, I'm just going to play a 4/4, right? And it has vigilance, so you can actually attack and block with it. So I don't love this card, but I at least can see some practical uses for it. And that's the best thing to me, right? Even if I don't immediately play it, at least I can find a home for it, and that matters. So yeah, I'm not going to give this a hard thumbs down. I'm going to give it more of like a thumb even, like, you know, 50% meter. I don't know. Nothing I would be excited about. Not saying you need to go. It's a common, so we'll probably all end up with plenty of these anyway. But, you know, it's all right. All right, next up we have Guardians of Oboro. 2 colorless and a blue for Moonfolk Samurai. I think this might be the first Moonfolk Samurai. Am I wrong? I'm probably wrong. I don't remember some of the creature types from the original Kamigawa. Anyway, this is a 3/4 with Defender. Modified creatures you control can attack as though they didn't have Defender. I mean, it's a 3/4, which is cool for 3 mana. It does have Defender, but I mean, how many things are you going to play with Defender to also make use of this ability? But I will say this could also just be a card, and maybe it's the only thing with Defender in your deck that is playing equipment and auras or whatever. Because then in that case, you're really not on a huge downside, and the ability doesn't matter greatly. You're just playing it as an efficient 3/4 for 3. And with the number of creature enchantments, whatever we're calling those, or creature equipment cards, it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. So this could end up getting played in lists just for itself, not necessarily for its modified creature ability, but just as being a 3/4 for 3. All right, we've got Historian's Wisdom, 2 colorless and a green. This is an aura, so you enchant an artifact or creature. When Historian's Wisdom enters the battlefield, if enchanted permanent is a creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield, you draw a card. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+1. This is a little bit of an odd card, right? So you can play it on an artifact or a creature. However, if you play it, if the permanent that gets it is the creature with the greatest power, then you get to draw a card. So realistically, this feels like you can play it on a creature or you can play it on a vehicle. And then as long as it's a permanent, as a creature, you get +2/+1. I don't think we're gonna really play this card. Like, it's not terrible. Don't be wrong. Like, we've seen many worse enchant creature cards, but this feels much more like a limited type card for draft and sealed and whatnot. Can it be played and constructed? Sure, but I can't imagine there's just not going to be better benefits from other cards. All right, Prodigy's Prototype. A colorless, a white, and a blue for a 3/4 artifact vehicle. Whenever one or more vehicles you control attack, create a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token with this creature crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater, and it has crew 2. This I like. This I could be into, right? Okay, so now we know already there's the 2/1, right? That pilot stuff. And then some other just efficient creatures you could play. Now, I will say, this doesn't fly or anything else, but it does make an additional creature, which there's something to be said for that. When you can attack, because one of the downsides to equipment is that you have to tap something to crew your aura. I mean, your vehicle. My goodness, so many different card types we have to talk about. Is that you have to tap a creature to crew your vehicle, and then if you're attacking, you're ultimately leaving yourself 2 blockers down, right? But if you get to attack and create a 1/1, that sort of changes things. And of course, we have some things that can give you bonuses for other vehicles that attack and whatnot, because there's a lot of vehicle-related things in this set. So this could realistically get played. Plus, any future vehicles you have are now going to be easier to crew and do stuff, because now you have these pilots that can crew at 3 as opposed to 1. So even that's a big deal. So yeah, I think this card actually is pretty solid. Awakened Awareness. This is actually like trippy art. It almost looks like it belongs on a secret layer. X blue. So we'll have to figure out what X is. It's an aura. You can enchant an artifact or a creature. When Awakened Aura enters the battlefield, put X +1/+1 counters on Enchanted Permanent. As long as Enchanted Permanent is a creature, it has base power and toughness 1/1. This is a strange card. All right, so I'm trying to reread this and make sure I'm interpreting it correctly. So when it enters the battlefield, you put X +1/+1 counters on a thing, on a permanent. But obviously you get a benefit if it's a creature or a vehicle. So let's say you pay 3 blue. So if something has 3 +1/+1 counters. And then as long as your enchanted permanent is a creature, so again, you get the benefit if it's a creature or a crewed vehicle, it has a base power and toughness of 1/1. So you're turning whatever you have into a 1/1, but it will get the benefits of the +1/+1 counters. So effectively, if you played this on something that's already a 1/1, you just have a blue card that's going to permanently give it whatever, X plus X plus X. If it's a vehicle, you turn the vehicle down to a 1/1, and then it gets plus X plus X. This is a weird card, man. I think, like, I don't know. I feel like if I were to put these on a thing and I could turn a non-creature artifact into a creature, I think that would be pretty cool. But the way I'm reading this is just, it doesn't change anything. So, enters the battlefield, you put the counters on the thing. Then if that thing happens to be a creature, it's base power and toughness 1. Yeah, like, I'm sure somebody will find some weird corner case brew to do with this, but as it stands, I'm just going to color myself confused and say, like, I don't get this card. Like, I don't totally understand the benefit unless we're playing in some type of mono blue skies or tempo deck or something that's just making little flyers and whatnot, and you just want a card to be able to just pump your creature up bigger. You know, like in those cases, it's probably just fine. All right, we've got Moon Circuit Hacker. Colorless and a blue for a 2/1 enchantment creature, human ninja. Ninjutsu, I should say, for 1, which is pretty huge. And then whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card unless Moon Circuit Hacker entered the battlefield this turn. This just feels like a solid card. Like, it's an enchantment, so that's going to count for some decks. It's a ninja, so that's going to count for some decks. It's a human. It's a 2/1 for 2. If you make contact, you get to draw a card. If it was not the turn it came into play, usually meaning if you got it into play with ninjutsu somehow, then you just have to discard a card. This is solid. Honestly, I don't know if this will be a huge player in, you know, the popular, modern, standard, historic, whatever, but I could see a way that this card gets some love in Pauper, as an example, since this is a common. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, this is kind of just an all-around useful card. All right, and then our last card of the day, Arm Guard Familiar. Colorless and a blue for a 2/1 with Ward 2. Equipped creatures get +2/+1 and has Ward 2. Oh, okay, it's an equipment beast. Interesting. All right, and then we also have Reconfigure 4. All right, so we got a 2-mana 2/1 that has Ward 2 that can give something else Ward 2 and +2/+1. It is a common, so, you know, only can expect so much. So Reconfigure is 4, not the cheapest thing. But again, I think if these whole, like, reconfigure equipment creature decks become a thing, this may not be bad. I mean, giving something Ward 2 does protect it, make it harder to kill, and you make the creature bigger. So there's probably an argument to be made for this type of card. I think it'll come down to, though, how easy it is to use the reconfigure cost on multiple things in a deck or not. But I'm kind of into it. Kind of a neat card. Matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, reconfigure things actually work kind of well with the, you know, attacks alone card, right? Or cards. So you could put 1 or 2 pieces of creature equipment or reconfigured things on the thing you want to attack alone. And then if it dies, you're like, okay, great, I just got creatures back. You know what I mean? When they quit being equipment. So maybe that's a thing. I don't really know. There's going to be a lot to figure out here with these types of cards. But this one, I'm not excited about it. It's at least playable, but I think it'll be more impactful and limited than it will be in Constructed. And all right, that's it for today. It looks like we've got no rares on today's pile of cards. It was all commons and uncommons. So yeah, Sunday was a little bit light, but we still found some cards that were pretty useful. Some role players for a couple of decks, and I think that's always reasonable. Because more often than not, you're going to need to find those to hold new themes together, especially. You know, we're talking about enchantment decks, equipment decks, you know, vehicle decks, or whatever it's going to be, right? You're going to need some of these role players to get there because the current sets really weren't built for that. So it'll be interesting to see which of these actually end up being played more than not, but overall, not a bad pile of cards. As always, remember, you can join the channel and support me for as little as 99 cents if you want to check out the rewards we have down below. Also, even if you don't do that, please remember to like this video because that really helps. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to choose all notifications so you don't miss any of the videos I'm putting out. But that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.